It seems to me that smart estate planning usually begins with a smart conversation among family members. How do you get that ball rolling? Who should be a part of the conversation? And at what age is it appropriate to bring children who may be the recipients of some of the parental wealth into the conversation?
Tyler, that is a great question. And the real reality is that most families are not talking about money. In fact, a third of all families say that they don't plan on talking about inheritance with their children, even though 90% of baby boomers expect to leave an inheritance for their kids. You really need to start talking about it sooner than later. And I'm a perfect example. My kids, we've been talking about money since they could add 1 + 1 = 2, and we've continued to do so. And you start that conversation just as you would any conversation about school, about as they get older adults, their job. Talking about what maybe some of their financial questions are, talking about maybe some of your lessons, both the things that you feel like you've learned over your lifetime of saving, investing, and making good decisions, but actually, Tyler, most importantly, some of the mistakes that you've made, because those are those learnings that particularly Gen X and Gen X and millennials need to know about.
So really, you can start this conversation at a quite early age. Obviously, you get into the higher level discussions when they're sort of more age appropriate for it. I'm curious. I've often been wary of the idea that if I talk to my children about money and I let them know that there's an inheritance out there that is one day going to be theirs, that number one, I'm going to rob them of their ambition, that they're somehow going to be held back because they know a certain slug of money is coming their way. So how do I avoid that, number one? And are there mechanisms that I can build into my estate plan so that I don't rob their ambition? In other words, oh, you're only going to get 5% of it at this age,
yep,
25%
exactly.
of it at the following age, and so forth.
You know, I feel like Warren Buffett has set a really wonderful example, and he's had many talks with his children. He's very open about it, that they will inherit some assets, but for him, the vast majority is going to go to charity. That's the similar situation in my life. And so having those conversations with your children, with your adult children, so that they have expectations, the right expectations, because unfortunately what we see, studies tell us, is that Gen X and millennials expect larger inheritances than they're actually going to receive. So there's a big gap between what they're going to receive and what, quite frankly, maybe they've banked on. And so having those conversations so that you have expectations, so that they know that they need to take care of themselves, that they need to build their own financial security and make good decisions. And there are some fantastic tools to help you do that. Trusts are one of them. I am a big believer in trusts, so that if they do receive an inheritance, it doesn't come all at once. The suddenly money syndrome is something that's real. And you see with lottery winners, with individuals that come into large sums of money, unfortunately, they tend to not make the best decisions. So parceling that over their lifetime, maybe at age 25 receiving a lump sum, 30, 35, we've even seen trusts go out later, so that they're receiving it at times of their life where it can make a really big difference, but also so that they can make good decisions when they receive those lump sums.